Today, I'm going to try to beat Pokemon Legends Arceus 100% using only shiny Pokemon. This is a continuation of my last video where I beat the main story using only shinies. If you haven't seen it, no worries. Just know that's where we'll be starting from. In this video, we're going to go through the game until we beat the final boss Arceus. If you don't know, in order to actually take on the final boss of this game, you need to catch every single Pokemon. So what we're going to do is work through each of the 5 areas where we'll catch every regular and legendary Pokemon, collect every plate, and of course find and catch at least one new shiny per area. The goal here is by the time we finish the game completely, we'll have a full new team of shinies. Got it? Good. Let's get into the game. But before we do that, I do want to take a second to say that this video took some serious time and effort on my part, and I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel and like the video if you enjoy it. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really helps me out a ton. Thanks. Now, let's actually get into the game. Fresh off of our triumph over the evil Pokemon Palkia, we find ourselves back in our regular life as a galaxy grunt. And so we do what every good grunt does and continue to research Pokemon. We talk to the professor to get our next steps, and he ends up giving us the other 2 starters from the beginning of the game. Not sure why he was holding out on us this whole time, but you know what? I'll take it. Our first stop on our new journey is the Obsidian Fieldlands. But before we head out there, first, I feel like we earned a spa day. And honestly, this look is pretty stale, so maybe some new clothes too? Much better. Now that we're fully dripped out in our Bidoof mask and paisley karate uniform thing, we're ready to take on whatever challenges await us. So we head out to the Obsidian Fieldlands, where, again, we need to 1. Find all the wisps hidden in the area, 2. Catch all the regular Pokemon, 3. Catch all the legendary Pokemon, and finally 4. Catch at least one new shiny. The first thing that we do is start training up and evolving everything that we possibly can from our pasture. This easily adds something like 40 new Pokemon to the Pokedex. That's a slam dunk for sure. Then we get to work on catching our first new shiny. This time we'll be targeting shiny Stantler to ultimately evolve it into shiny Wurdeer. So we start working on completing the Dex entry, which increases our odds of actually finding a shiny deer by about 4x. Then once that's finished, we make our rounds until we finally find this putrid green deer. With our new deer secured, we start working on evolving it. This is sort of a weird process because in order to evolve, Stantler has to use the move Psy Shield Bash in Agile style at least 20 times. Not super intuitive, but relatively easy, I guess. As we're working through this process, we figure out the perfect name for our newest team member, and that name is Girl Stanley. After pulverizing countless Geodudes, we are just one battle away from being able to evolve Girl Stanley. That's when we hear it. Could it be? That sweet, sweet shiny sound? Turns out a shiny Drifloon spawned nearby, and what more poetic way to evolve our first shiny of this video than by taking out our first shiny of the previous video. This might hurt some of you to watch. After popping the shiny balloon, we evolve Girl Stanley into Wurdeer, which looks definitively less putrid, which is always a plus. I don't know how I feel about this one, still kind of cool to see it in game though. With Girl Stanley on the team, we get back to work and grab all the wisps in the area and catch all the readily available Pokemon. As we're making our rounds looking for Pichu or something dumb, we hear that familiar noise again. Surely we couldn't have found 3 shinies in the first area, right? But sure enough, we did. And as we turn to see what it is, it turns out to be a shiny Starly. We of course catch it because only a madman would kill a shiny Pokemon. Then we grab it out of the stable and immediately nickname it Woodstock. And we train it up until it evolves into a Staraptor. I will say that shiny Staraptor really shows you more of the vulnerable side of this normally angry bird. I mean, look at those sweet blue eyes. Those eyes would never hurt you. You're safe with Staraptor. Anyway, we finish up what we're working on, then head back to town for a quick pit stop. As we arrive back in town, the commander says he needs to speak with us on Prelude Beach. I don't know why we can't just talk here, but sure, whatever you want, old man. As we roll up, we see him in his old trusty battle armor, and we realize that we are completely unprepared, but we get roped into a battle anyway. Thanks kinda to our newest team members, we're able to come out on top. Just kidding. We didn't actually use any new Pokemon in this fight, but Cola's able to clutch it as usual. After his defeat, the commander ends up giving us this plate he's been holding for decades for some reason and just kind of forgot to mention. Whatever. We'll take it. Now we head back to the Fieldlands and head up to Lake Verity to catch the Lake Spirit Mesprit. And you know how much of a pain legendaries can be to catch with their low catch rate. Oh, nice. Just got in the first ball. Cool. With Mesprit secured, we've officially completed the first and probably longest area of the game. So we make our way to the Crimson Mirelands to repeat the same process. This time we start with the wisps. After lapping the swamp a ridiculous amount of time hunting for these pesky wisps, we head up to Lake Valor to take on the lake spirit Azulf. This one puts up a little bit more of a fight than his friend Mesprit, but eventually it gives in and gets in the ball. With Azulf secured, we tie up a few more loose ends in our Pokedex, then get started on our next hunt. There are two shiny Pokemon that we are interested in the Crimson Mirelands. The first is Shiny Gumi, to ultimately get a Hisuian Gudra, and the second is Teddy Ursa, which would ultimately get us a shiny Ursaluna. So at this point, you know the drill. We get started on their Pokedex entries. After completing both of those, we start resetting the map by going back and forth between the Crimson Mirelands and Jubilife Village to try to trigger a mass outbreak of one of the two Pokemon. If you don't already know, mass outbreaks have insanely boosted shiny odds and are effectively the best way to find shinies in this game. But resetting for them can be pretty tedious, so sometimes I just opt for the old-fashioned way. Anyway, the first mass outbreak we see is Gumi in the Coronet Highlands. Breaking with tradition, we head there to check it out and see if we can grab a quick shiny. Unfortunately, no luck on the shiny Gumi this time, but the next interesting mass outbreak is actually not one of the two Pokemon that we're looking for before, but rather a super rare outbreak of Hisuian Zorua in the Alabaster Icelands. While this isn't the Pokemon that we're looking for right this second, it sure is a Pokemon that we wanted to find later, so we seize the opportunity and head to the Icelands to check out the mass outbreak. Sure enough, we get lucky and find a shiny Zorua. This thing shiny looks so awesome. I can't say enough good things about it. The colors with its darker tones and blue accents just look amazing. And because of its hair situation, we end up nicknaming it Squig. Then we train it up and evolve it into a Hisuian Zoroark, which miraculously is even cooler than the Zorua. This is probably the best shiny in the entire game. Now, we resume our regularly scheduled Mirelands content. A little bit tired of looking for mass outbreaks, we decide to run around the Mirelands for a while to see if we can stumble into one of the shinies we're looking for. And after landing countless headshots on these poor little bears, we finally see the sparkle that we've been waiting for. Then we lay eyes on our glorious spearmint colored bear for the very first time. We snipe it just like we sniped all its brothers and sisters, then go grab it from the stable and nickname it Minty. Then we evolve it into an Ursaring and it becomes decidedly less minty. At this point, we get started on finding a peat block, which is the item that you need to use to evolve Ursaring into an Ursaluna. And I swear, finding this block might have taken longer than the entire shiny hunt. Is that a mass outbreak of Chanseys? Oh, now this I gotta see. Yep, just as hilarious as I thought it would be. Moving on, eventually we do actually dig up a peat block, then after resting a bunch of days, we finally land on a full moon and are able to evolve our bipedal bear friend into a four-legged but much bigger bear friend. I do love the Ursaluna Shiny Maroon. It's unlike any other shiny I've ever seen, and that is pretty cool. Now let's take a quick look at the team. At this point, we head back to town to take care of some stuff, then start making our way to the Cobalt Coastlands. Here, we make our usual rounds, stumbling about to try to find all the wisps, and once we take care of that, we catch all the remaining Pokemon that we can find in a timely fashion. Then, we make our way to Firespit Island, where we received word that there was some strange activity happening in the volcano. Turns out, it wasn't strange activity at all. It was a Pokemon the whole time. Who would have thought? Anyway, this Pokemon turns out to be Heatran, and for whatever reason, Heatran is pissed. We try to talk it out, but it just won't listen to reason. So we end up imprisoning it in a Pokeball for all of eternity instead. And with Heatran procured, we get the Iron Plate. Then we just have one last thing to take care of in the Coastlands. And that thing is, of course, finding that sweet, sweet shiny. This time we're aiming for shiny Quillfish to ultimately get a shiny Overquill. So we start heading back and forth between the coast and Jubilife to get a mass outbreak and hopefully find our shiny Spiky boy. The first mass outbreak that we decide to investigate is an outbreak of Finneons. Not the right fish, but I was interested to see if we could yoink a quick shiny, and that is exactly what we're able to do, finding the shiny almost immediately. Again, not really what we're looking for, but still kind of cool. Not quite main team material though, so we lock it in the farm forever. After a while, we do stumble across just the outbreak we were looking for, and we make our way there. About halfway through the outbreak, we spot it. It's hard not to see this white fish fish next to his darker brothers and sisters. And after a hard fought battle, we finally catch this fish. After grabbing it from the stables and taking a look at it, we have the perfect nickname. We end up naming her Ursula because her colors are almost identical to Ursula the Sea Witch from The Little Mermaid. Look it up, Zoomer. Anyway, with Ursula on the team, we get to work evolving it. This is another one of those weird evolutions where you have to use a certain move a bunch to get it to evolve, so we start taking our anger out on the local fauna until our quillfish is fully baked. Then we evolve it into an overquill, and let me say, I don't really love the design of overquill, but this shiny is pretty dang cool. Plus, check out its tail. Adding a Q to anything can make it cool. With our fish shiny on the team, we make our way to the next area. We decide to head to the Icelands before the Coronet Heights because I thought it would be cool to end on Coronet for some reason. I don't know, man. Anyway, at this point we get to work finding all the wisps and catching all the rest of the Pokemon that we don't already have from the area. This one is pretty quick because we already caught the majority of the Pokemon here before this. After catching all the remaining Pokemon, we head to the Snow Point Temple, where we head downstairs and encounter Regigigas. And man, this thing is imposing. But not to worry, we catch the Goliath without much issue and secure the blank plate. Then we head over to Lake Acuity, where the final Lake Spirit Uxie is waiting. Of course we catch it, and with that, we've completed the Icelands. Now we just have one last area to work through. So we make our way to the Coronet Highlands. We do the Wisp thing and the regular Pokemon thing, then we head into the arena, where we face off against the Space Age Pokemon Cresselia. It doesn't want to go peacefully, so we end up catching it and locking it in the pasture forever. It made its choice, okay? With Cresselia caught, we realized we definitely missed a couple Pokemon on our journey. So we get to work wrapping up some loose ends, like evolving a Sneasler and catching a freaking Bonsly. Why are baby Pokemon so rare in this game? I really just don't understand. And finally doubling back to the Mirelands with this creepy little girl and all the wisps in hand to catch a Spiritomb. With all of that taken care of, we get started on another shiny hunt. At this point, there are a few shinies we would be more than okay with. Any of the remaining new Hisuian Pokemon that we haven't already caught in shiny form, like Sneasler, Hisuian Lilligant, or Hisuian Avalugg, or really just anything interesting or particularly cool like Lucario or something else crazy. Ultimately, we go where the mass outbreaks take us, and we end up getting 2 mass outbreaks of Bergamites in a row. On the second outbreak, we find our new favorite shiny chunk of ice. Then we train it up until it evolves into an Avalugg, and we nickname it Smug. I had seen this shiny before on Cerebi, but I have to say, it looks way better in game. The contrast that the new brighter colors give to the body of Avalugg really make it a top tier shiny in my opinion. So now with all of our chores done, we return to Kagura a champion. And she just has one more task for us to do. Retrieve 3 pieces of wood, are you kidding me? Being a good Samaritan and having no way to avoid doing this, we collect the wood and return it. Man, this better be important. A new cutting board. Oh my goodness. Kagura, you tested me. It seems my time just really isn't valuable to any of my friends here in Hisui. Anyway, with that menial task complete, we head up to the top of Mount Coronet with Volo to do something I'm not really sure exactly what he said we were gonna do, but turns out Volo was evil the whole time. Man, didn't see that one coming. And his team is insane. And after you beat his team, you have to fight Giratina right away. No heal, no break. And once you beat Giratina, it just goes back to full health and you have to fight it again. Needless to say, we didn't beat this on our first try. Or our second try. And not even on our third try. It was only on our 4th try, after we had trained the team up more and bought a bunch of items and stalled to revive our team on Volo's last Pokemon, that we were actually able to get through this entire gauntlet. This is a pretty crazy encounter to say the least. With that dealt with, we do have 5 more Pokemon to catch before we can finally take on Arceus, so we head to the Cobalt Coastlands where we find Giratina, who politely gets in the first ball we throw at him, which is really the least it could do after what it did to me on Mount Coronet. Then we get to work catching the genies Tornadus, Thundurus, and Landorus, which is probably the most frustrating thing that I've done in this game. Anyway, with the genies caught, we head back to Kagura, and apparently just catching these mythical beasts isn't quite enough. We also need to complete their Pokédex entries. So we get to work and unleash the wrath of the genies on dozens of poor Wurmples until their entries are complete. Now we head back to Kagura again, who apparently was just hanging out with the last genie at her house and didn't want to tell us for some reason. Kinda come to to expect this at this point. Anyway, we make a deal to meet up with the genie in the Crimson Mirelands, which we do, and have a quick encounter, then finally catch the last Pokemon in the decks, Enamorus. With every Pokemon secured, we head up to the top of Mount Coronet to have our final confrontation with Arceus itself. We ascend into what I can only speculate is Pokemon Heaven, where we finally get to throw some bombs again, baby! And after a hard-fought battle, or two, we are able to catch this majestic beast. And with that, we've officially completed the entire postgame of Pokemon Legends Arceus. Thanks for watching, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. Till next time.